It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
Yeah, let's do it.
Consequence Podcast Network. Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the episode. Please do hit that subscribe button while you're hanging around. That way you get 3 brand new interviews sent to you every single week. A new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones, any of the usual spots, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from. You can subscribe to Kyle Meredith With. And don't forget to also give the series a rating, leave a review if you feel so inspired. We've had some fantastic guests on recently, including world-renowned cellist Hauser. We had 80s publicist Nadine Condon on here. Ross Lynch, you know him from everything from Ali and AJ to the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He's got his new album with the Driver Era. MGMT was here. Legendary actor John Malkovich, Paloma Faith, Kula Shaker, Slow Pulp, Aldous Hodge. He's got that new movie with Joe Keery called Marmalade. We talked with Mary Timoney of X-Hex, Natalie Morales, Matthew Vaughn, the director of The Kingsman and Argyle. Just an example of what you get when you subscribe to the Kyle Meredith With podcast. And that's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, actress and Broadway star Jasmine Cephas Jones. She's got her debut album on the way called Phoenix. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the brand new single Baby I Can't Leave You, which the music video she actually directed herself. So, as I mentioned, she was in Hamilton, of course. She played one of the original Schuyler sisters. We're going to discuss her journey to becoming a songwriter and creating an LP that represents one of the biggest transformational moments in her life, musically and personally. She'll tell us about finding her own sound while still paying homage to folks like Erykah Badu and Prince, D'Angelo, Stevie Wonder. And she'll go on to outline the version of herself that's been left behind after a period of grief, and how starring in Ava DuVernay's origin has been, as she says, life-changing. All that and more. We're talking Phoenix. It's Kyle Meredith with Jasmine Cephas Jones.
Hi.
So first off, I've heard the album. It is fantastic. It is so good. The moods, the genre shifting that's going on, the storytelling you're doing. And today, as we talk, there's a new video for Baby I Can't Give You Up, which is gorgeous. I mean, it's a beautiful song anyway, but gorgeously shot. And I wanted to start with that one because this is you directing, right?
Yeah, it's me directing. I shot it while I was in between shooting Origin, the movie that I'm in, the Ava DuVernay film. And I flew from Savannah, Georgia to England. And then after I did everything I did in England, I flew to Berlin to like finish shooting the movie. And I was like, why don't I stop in London and get some work done in between, Savannah and Berlin instead of going back home to LA. And I had this idea of shooting a music video, and I also shot a live version of a couple of songs in my aunt's coffee shop in the countryside out there. And I got 2 of my cousins together. One of my cousins, Sashi, she's like an amazing organizer. And the other one has studied film and works in the art film department. And she hit up her friend Ben Ely, who's like an amazing cinematographer that has done like videos for Ed Sheeran and all of this. And we really, we just like hit the ground running and did it like old school style, and me just walking around London and my cousin like holding the speaker at the side. We really did it like super old school, and it all came out really well. And that song means a lot to me, and it's dedicated to my support system, and it's just a beautiful song. So I'm very proud of it.
I love seeing, of course, seeing your dad and your family at the end and everything. It's such a beautiful moment in there. But I also wanted to, you pointing out the old school way that you're doing it. I wonder that a lot about, especially music videos, that a lot of times music videos are a bit more run and gun than like a movie. Like those aren't closed sets a lot of the time. Like the people you see around you. Like I don't know what that's like for the person who's having the lip sync. Like, do you just shut all of that out?
Listen, I think at this point, I've with filming and film and TV and being on stage, like everything is thrown your way and you just have to, like, the show must go on in a sense like that. So you kind of have no choice. And I kind of knew that I was set up for that, of like, yeah, this is not a closed set. We are really, again, doing it in an old school way. And you kind of have to drown all of that out and just like focus. And so many people are looking at you like you're crazy, but you're like, this is gonna work out in the end.
You're gonna love this later. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're gonna love this later. You're gonna feel really uncomfortable right now, but I promise you, everyone, it's gonna turn out great.
Well, this is the second single that we've heard that's all leading up to this album, and this album is your debut album. I mean, this is all that. So I mean, maybe we should walk back a little bit here, because the EP came out, what, 2020, 2021, around there?
2020, I think.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's right.
Long ago.
So as an album, I don't know, do you think of it in that term, like classic? Because we're talking old school a little bit right there anyway. So in that classic train of thought, like, is this a piece? Do you consider it like that?
Yeah, I think I consider it art piece for sure. My first project that came out was an EP of 5 songs, and I really wanted to prove, like, I wrote the whole thing, and I didn't work with like another songwriter to like help me, really do any of the melodies or lyrics. And once that was out, I was like, okay, like, I am a songwriter, I can hold space, confidently. And I really wanted to put a whole piece together. I rented out an Airbnb, and we made 2 studios in the Airbnb. And it was 7 of us that worked on the album. And we woke up in the morning and rotated rooms and wrote all day until about 2 or 3 in the morning for 7 days. We left with 33 ideas, and 13 of those ideas became the album. So it was a very like collaborative process. And this house that I rented out, it like had a pool. We had like a private beach. So, and my sister would like make breakfast and dinner for us, and we like came to the table every night. And so it was this very like community way of bonding through creativity and music. And I remember thinking I wanted to make a piece from beginning to end, and I wanted it to represent a transformation for me musically. Didn't know it was going to represent a transformation for me like in my life. Crazy how art is like that. And I wanted to, I'm a singer. I love amazing singers, but I also really love musicians. And I really wanted to put musical transitions in there, and I wanted different people off the album to shine, and also make an album that I was really excited to perform live. So it's like the musicality of it is really there. And if you listen from beginning to end, you can kind of understand my nerdy music brain and how it works. So that was really important to me. So it does feel like a piece for sure.
Yeah, there's one of the first moments I really noticed that, and Brighter, and hearing it in the context of the album, because there's this piano part that comes in at the end of it, and it becomes its own thing. Where when it ends, I went, no, 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 I want more. I
Yeah,
want more of
yeah.
that.
Some more Pinder Hughes for you.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. It's Kyle Meredith with Jasmine Cephas Jones. Well, that's it, and I think you had mentioned somewhere, like, I don't know if you call them inspirations or just, artists that you had in mind, but I was looking at that list again, like Stevie Wonder's Intervisions, D'Angelo's Voodoo, Erykah Badu's Baduism. God, you named three of the greatest albums of all time right there. Like, how important were those specifically to what you're talking about?
I think it was really important for me. I grabbed different people who have like influenced me, but also very important for me to create my own sound and be like, this Jasmine has put her stamp on it, But in Brighter, I was thinking of D'Angelo, and the song Your Vibe, I was thinking of Erykah, you know, um, uh, Stevie all over the place. These musicians and artists like I grew up on. I mean, Prince was my first concert when I was 14, and
That's your first concert?
yeah, musicology tour.
That's a heck of a place to start right there. Well done.
Yeah, all of that is all over, and it also just like influences me every day as a person too. So I couldn't help but not kind of put that in there because those musicians are a part of who I am.
Sure. And it's I mean, I do think I was about to say any artist who says they don't carry their influence is probably not paying close enough attention to themselves. Although I do think if you're an artist who's been around for 50 years, maybe you are your own influence at that point. I don't know how that works, but I always kind of find that exciting, especially if you can spot those moments. But as you're saying too, I mean, this is your first record, but a lot of musicians have to go through a process of finding their own voice. And I guess it feels like you already arrived at that sooner than a lot of people would have done in the past. Like that's how I hear it anyway. And I don't know if you can even put words to that, what it means yet, but what is your stamp? What is your own, like what is your sound that we're hearing here?
That's a really good question. And I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I just I remember thinking I wasn't a songwriter when I was younger, like way younger, because I would get with producers that wanted me to sound like somebody else. And it was really hard for me to navigate when I was younger, um, until I met some amazing musicians that were also my friends that allowed me to experiment. And I think, my stamp is, if I could try to find some words right now of what it is, it's everything you hear I've experimented with. I've allowed myself to try things and not try to sound like something else, and um, explore my voice and the different things that it can do and the colors, and um, use that in there because I'm not focusing on sounding like anybody else. I'm focusing on experimenting and finding the different parts of me as a musician, and kind of like the acrobatics that my voice can do, and leaning into that. So I think my stamp is like my music nerdiness and leaning into my voice.
Well, those moments like Come My Way, what those vocals are doing there, which it's there's a little bit of that. I was trying to pinpoint, like, you could probably say it better, but it's got a little bit of the 60s girl group. It even stretches all the way back to the Andrews Sisters. I can
Yeah.
hear that going in there. I'd love to hear about that song, and even the way it just goes straight into Cali, I mean,
that's probably my favorite maybe moment of the album is those two and the way they just carry each other.
Yeah, man, I love Come My Way. It, it kind of just gives me this like warm feeling. I remember like having a crush on somebody in middle school or like high school, and it's like, that warm feeling, and you're just like, what is this feeling? And it's just kind of like that song kind of represents that feeling. And I worked with, some other songwriters on this album, and Liv and Josiah worked on that song with me. And they came up with just like some beautiful harmonies on that song, which kind of influenced the way that I sang the song, and this kind of flirty, like laughing in between. And I want the audience to feel that. And then, ending it in this like falsetto kind of like 60s girl or boy band. I just wanted that nostalgia. I wanted that feeling. And then with Callie's one of my favorites, I think, production wise, and musically where it goes. And that song started with an idea that I had for a bass line. And I like recorded it on a voice note. And I was just like, doom, 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 and that's where it started. And that's like how Callie like built, and it just like, it literally started there with this idea of a bass line that I had, and just like grew and grew and grew and grew over time. And it's now become one of like my favorite songs I've ever made, because again, it just goes there in terms of like experimentation, and also just done in the right way. I mean, like from the way that I'm singing it and the attitude to the harmonies, and then me singing with Zay on guitar, and you're like hearing my voice like flow through this guitar solo and do like these crazy like high notes with it, and then transitions almost into like, I don't know, like something you would hear maybe off like a Michael Jackson album, kind of like this crazy groove that it goes into. And it's like I swear to God, it's like my favorite thing ever. It's like, why have the song just stop there? And Zach Golden, one of the producers on it, I remember the day he switched into that transition. He was like, I have this idea. And I was just like, what? Like literally my brain just blew up, and then we just kept growing from there, So it's really awesome to, one, find your own voice, and then also gather the right people together that understand you as an artist, because you get to feed off of each other in this like really beautiful way. And I think we all like left that house as better artists, because we all are allowing each other to experiment and try shit. And if it's not good, then you move on to like the next thing. But like everything is okay. Nothing's wrong, And I think no matter what medium, as an artist, you need that safe space. I wanted to create that like really bad in making this album, because I woke up one day and I was like, I'm gonna make an album. And I'm gonna make an album, and I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. Let's gather, let's commune, and let's start from there.
What starts with that small idea, and suddenly we have this piece of art, that people are going to take on their own.
And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. It's Kyle Meredith with Jasmine Cephas Jones.
And maybe to ask because it's been mentioned so many times, maybe to ask the direct question. I mean, this is the Phoenix Risen, right? This is the new version of you. What did you leave behind? What is that? Who is that person in the past?
Oh, such a great question. I think when you go through so much grief, I think you arrive to a place where you have no choice but to face yourself and kind of rewrite your own story of like where you want to be and how you want to navigate your life. And I think I made the decision to put myself more as a leader in my own life. So I think I left behind caring so much what people think, being afraid to take a next step, or believing in myself, or doing the things, like stopping from doing the things that I want to do. I think this period in my life, I have such a tunnel vision, and writing down goals and me wanting the best for myself and truly walking down that path, and some other stuff.
No, but you can hear that confidence on this record. Like, it's such a fun record. Sometimes, I don't want to say the message is lost. It definitely doesn't, but it's such a fun record that it's almost surprising to turn around and then really concentrate on what you're saying and realizing that, oh man, this is a big moment for you, like this isn't just a party, like this is a celebration. That's how it comes across.
Yeah, that's a great word, because I think you can celebrate in many different ways, and it is a fun album. It is, I think, from beginning to end, and it's a journey. It's not you're not in one space. I think throughout the whole entire album, not a lot of the songs sound exactly the same or whatever. It is different moods under this umbrella of growth.
I just also want to quickly, because you mentioned it too, Origin, which is out there. This seems like just more than an important story, because it's definitely an important story, but it seems so wide scope in its storytelling. I don't know what you can say, because I know I'm not giving you a great question set up here, but I would love to hear about your experience on this film.
Ava DuVernay is absolutely amazing. She's definitely one of my idols. I mean, this woman is a director, a writer, producer, and directed and wrote and produced and raised money for this film, Origin. It was shot in a small amount of time in America, in Savannah, Georgia, in India, and in Germany. And I mean, it's so hard to put in words, this film, because it really is life-changing and really challenges you to think about what we've been taught, and really challenging the caste system, and dissecting it and really getting to the bottom of it through how these different countries have literally controlled people. And so, I'm like literally in Berlin, and on my day off, I went to the Berlin Wall, and I'm looking at all of the history, and I see the burning of the books, the famous burning of the books in the square. And I'm like, oh, we're shooting that tomorrow in exactly that same location. And it was just like a very deep moment of like, oh, this is why I do this. I'm able to be an emotional vessel to teach in a way, through my art and what I love to do, and be characters that can help with understanding. That's not just a textbook or a book. I get to bring it to life. So that filming that movie was such an amazing experience for me, and especially working with Ava, and she's so invested and gives such a safe space and makes sure that you do your research and come to rehearsal very prepared as well. So it was just it really was an amazing experience for me as an artist.
Inspired people are inspiring. I don't mean that to sound like a poster on a wall. Just hearing about that whole thing, about that someone wanted to make that movie so bad that they pulled everybody else into it, and it feels like that's your story as well. With your music, it's like you wanted to make this music. You didn't wait for a record label to come and do the whole thing. It's like you wanted this, and that is very inspiring, and you have made such a great piece of work that has come out of all this. So congratulations on this again. And seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My thanks to Jasmine. The new album, it's upcoming. It's called Phoenix. Baby, I Can't Leave You. The latest single is out now. Thanks to you for checking out the episode. Again, please do hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the interviews that we put out every single week. New and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org. Consequence, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. Then after that, head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday. You get 4 hours of classics from the 80s and 90s. You get the best in new music. There are bonus interviews, lots of music news. We have a lot of fun over there. One of my recent shows featured the music of Elliott Smith, Joni Mitchell, Otis Redding, Beyonce, Cracker, The Ills, Susie and the Banshee, Waxahachie, The Foo Fighters, Corinne Bailey Rae, Sugar, Squeeze, The Innocence Mission, Middle Kids, Gary Clark Jr., Ben Folds 5, Rage Against the Machine, The Killers, Libertines, Lucinda Williams, and my interview with Sharon Van Etten. Again, just an example of what you get every weeknight starting at 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on any of the social media sites. The address is always the same. It's at Kyle Meredith. So I do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith, and I'll see you next time. Consequence Podcast Network.
I'm glad you liked the album.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.